Hi, my name is William Schaeffer, and our book review today is of The Golden Treasury of Knowledge. First published in Italy in 1958, it was then published in American translation in 1960 or 61 by the Golden Publishers. This is a 16-volume set of books like encyclopedias, but the whole series defies description. Now, these are the same publishers that published the Golden Book Encyclopedia around 1960-1961. And that is a fantastic resource. It's written for children of junior high or high school age, but for adults of today, it contains a lot of interesting information, both real, valid scientific information, valid historical information, and also a reflection on the context of the times. Junior high children in 1960 were much more intelligent than the average person is today. This led to a lot of the social movements in the 60s and led to the eventual dumbing down of our school system and of the people in general, who were willful accomplices. But nevertheless, The Golden Treasury of Knowledge. This book is fascinating because it defies description. There is no apparent organization to the articles in any of the 16 volumes. There's an index in the last volume, but the way the articles are organized defies understanding. But nevertheless, each individual article is fascinating and informative. And let me just give you an example. This is volume 7, and these are the subjects we deal with: latitude and longitude, deep sea fish, Galileo Galilei, the Malay Peninsula, Abraham Lincoln, the endocrine glands, liquid air, pirates and corsairs, Alfred Nobel, prehistoric art, Ivan the Terrible, Moses, Tutankhamen's tomb, Brazil, clocks and watches, Johannes Kepler, the golden eagle, Indians of the Amazon, roses, climate, metal and alloys, and on and on. And it's like an encyclopedia where they took all the geography references, all the obligatory historical references, and then they jumbled the alphabetical order all between all the volumes. It's very funny. But the articles themselves, they're good. And they're well, the illustrations are nice. The book is fun to browse through, and you can learn things from it. But the organization is so peculiar that it makes one wonder how they decided to organize it. Let's look at another volume. Here's volume 1. Starts with the universe. Millions of years ago. The United States. The respiratory system. Giotto. Early Gauls and Germans. Domestic cats. Richard the Lion-Hearted. Asia. Pebbles. Moles. Sound. The first firearms. Buds. That probably is about flowers. Venezuela. Marie and Pierre Curie, Eskimos, hares and rabbits, the chestnut blight, the first airships, parrots, weather stations, Socrates of Athens, and molecules. And you can see it goes all over the place, but they're all fascinating subjects. Now let's take a look at a few of the things to see what it says. Okay, here's from volume 7 on climate. This is 1960. We know the climate of the Earth has undergone great changes. There have been periods when the Earth was warmer than it is now, and there have been periods when it was colder. Scientists are not sure of the reasons for these changes, but they do have many theories. However, much research remains to be done before we will know what causes the change in the climate. Okay, there you have it. Troy, the city of 9 lives. Talks about Heinrich Schliemann and the history of Troy. All in all, here we go. The Muslim Empire, from the vantage point of 1960. The beginnings of geometry. Goes on and on, it's fascinating. Alfred Nobel of the Nobel Prize. And the endocrine glands. Petroleum and its uses. Petroleum provides us with gas for cars and airplanes, with lubricating oil to keep our machines running, with kerosene for lamps, fuel for heat and for trains and battleships, naphtha for lights, paints, and varnishes. It provides us with tar, coke, crayon, candles, and even chewing gum. There you have it. That's petroleum. Let's see if we can find Socrates here, because he's a good one too. Parrots. All kinds of parrots. Socrates of Athens. Now this is for 7th graders. Calling himself a gadfly, a kind of fly that annoys and stings, because he believed that everybody had to be pestered, if necessary, into seeing what was really true. Socrates went about the city. He talked about the things he considered to be just with the common people, especially with the young men. He made them think by asking questions, listening to their answers, and correcting them. All his life he tried to guide men towards what he thought was the true and the good, and many listened to him. Then why was a man accused of such crimes? And it goes on, and I assume you're familiar with the life of Socrates. While in prison, waiting for death, he discussed everlasting life of the soul with his friends. Many of the men tried to persuade him to escape, but Socrates, always true to his idea of the truth, refused. He told them that the verdict had come from a legal court, so he had no choice but to obey it. When the time came for him to carry out his sentence, this great man comforted his weeping friends and calmly drank a cup of poison called hemlock that had been prepared for him. Well, that's pretty heavy stuff for 7th graders. It's pretty heavy stuff for adults. And if you, like Socrates, are interested in knowledge and interested in learning, and this in an easy and comfortable way, I highly suggest the Golden Treasury of Knowledge. 16 volumes that you can just sit and read, and I guarantee you will find something you did not know, and you will be amused and interested and engaged. Thank you, and leave your comments below.